I'm here, Geoffery Rogers, with Michael Tandoi, the man who has built his life up from drugs to now a businessman. I'm here with him today, who has had a lot of controversial things going on. Even his car show that he had yesterday, with hundreds of people out there with no violence. How you doing today?
I'm doing amazing.
Well,
A
we're
little
gonna,
tired,
yeah,
but I'm
yeah,
doing good.
yeah. You're a businessman.
You know?
So we're gonna get straight into it. Your life. We know that you talked about this in plenty of other interviews. How you were used to do drugs, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and then came back from that. Talk about the beginning of that.
So back in 2003, I used to own a nightclub in the city of Rochester, Club NRG, over on St. Paul and Andrew Street. And back then, cocaine was in. And that's the drug of choice that I always enjoyed because, you know, I've always liked to be moving fast. I was in the fast lane. And my drug addiction, I didn't know I had a drug addiction until one day I just couldn't function anymore. And then I found myself in the inner city on Jefferson Avenue, Genesee Street. And I was driving up and down all the side streets, Columbia, Bartlett, Troop, Adams, Stewart, Shelter. And then I found Hawley Street. And that's where I met my dealers. And from 2003 to 2006, I was smoking crack cocaine on a day-to-day basis. Every dollar I had, and when I had no money, I was still getting high because, I was out robbing drug dealers, but whatever I had to do. I was stealing from family. I was taking from whoever I had to take from. I lost control of my addiction from the first time I took that hit, right? So, like, when I took my first hit of crack cocaine, everything that I once knew before, it was like a transparent screen went down, and the life that I was once living, GBA basketball in high school, hanging out, throwing, regular type parties, it's just like whatever life I had back then, even nightclub owner, like that shit all went out the door. There was no more, from my past that even I never thought of any of it. It was like I just fell in love. Like I got married the day that I took my first hit of crack cocaine. I married her, and I stayed faithful to her, and I gave her everything that I had, and I almost died because of her, and I would have died for her. Right? That's how serious my drug addiction got. And by the end of my addiction, my habit was. It was just so out of control. I got arrested a bunch of times. I got shot 5 times on Hawley Street. I took 5 bullets, 38 caliber, point blank range. I was hospitalized, and then I went and I was at an elderly family's house, and they took care of me for like 4 months, and they would shower me, clean me, bathe me, feed me. I would sit there and, recover. I had a broken femur from the gunshots.
Yeah.
I had broken wrist. So, it was hard for me to do things on my own, and they helped bring me back to life. And then when I came home from there, my father sent me right to Conifer Park. And I went to Conifer Park for the 30-day program out in Schenectady. And I thought I was recovered. I thought I was good. I was like, I'm ready to hit the road again. I'm good. And I started a hot dog business called Hats Ahoy at Charlotte Beach. And I used to tie up a pontoon boat on the pier, and I would sell hot dogs and hamburgers. And I met a girl, and we moved in together. And before you know it, I was stepdad to 2 amazing kids. And next thing you know it, I relapsed. And this time when I relapse, it's just like in the big book, and like all the counselors that tell you start up where you left off.
Yeah.
As soon as I relapsed, I was right back to the same addiction I had before I got shot. It's
Wow.
like I didn't miss a beat. It was right there waiting for me. I went right back to the neighborhood I got shot at to look for drugs, and that's where I started buying drugs from again. And so then I got into a high-speed chase, and I probably got into like 4 or 5 high-speed chases that month.
Because you end up doing time.
Yeah, so I got into such a serious high-speed chase. I was on my way home. I was with my stepdaughter, and when I pulled into the track, I noticed that there was cops at my house. So I went around the backside and I dropped her off at a neighbor's house, and then I got into another high-speed chase, and I was by myself. Thank God she wasn't with me. But I got into a high-speed chase with the Monroe County Sheriff's Department, the City of Rochester Police Department, the New York State Troopers, and it was like a 15-mile chase. It ended on 531. I was going the wrong way on the expressway. I was head-on traffic, 100 and something miles an hour, and then I ended up, crashing into a car. Through the grace of God, nobody died. And I did 7 years in prison. When the judge sentenced me to go to prison that day, he had told me that I came from a beautiful family, but I had become a danger to society. That's why he's got to give me the max sentence. And if I was smart, I would use that time as a time to grow, to time to learn, learn about myself, and to become a productive individual of today's society. And that's what I did. But my first 3 years in prison, they weren't any different than me on the street.
Yeah.
Except for I wasn't smoking cigarettes and I wasn't doing drugs.
Yeah.
So I gave up the cigarettes when I got to prison because I didn't want to die in prison. And I thought that if I was smoking cigarettes in prison, I wouldn't be healthy enough to make it through prison. And, I didn't want to get lung cancer or, have a heart attack or something like that. So I gave up the smoking cigarettes. And then I didn't do drugs because I figured, well, the drugs got me in here.
Yeah.
Right. So why am I going to continue to do it if I got a chance to actually start rebuilding my life? But I mean, my first 3 years in, I was, the same. I mean, I was hustling, I was gambling. I was running football parlays. I was, doing the 2-for-1 grocery stores.
Yeah.
So that none of that shit changed until I had my spiritual awakening, and my father had gotten he had a massive heart attack in 2009. And I was on the phone with my mother, and I knew something was wrong. Like when you talk to somebody, and they tell you can hear it in their voice if something's wrong, right?
Yeah.
So I heard it in my mother's voice, and she ended up telling me that my father had a heart attack. And so I rushed to the CO. I told him I had to go down to the chapel's office. I went down to the chapel's office, and they got it arranged where I got to go visit my father before he actually died. So I get to, I'm shackled up. I got my chains on, my greens on, my state boots on, and I'm like a big green giant walking through the Strong Memorial Hospital, shipped up 2.5 hours out. I was in Mid-State Correctional Facility, and they shipped me in a van, and I had 2 COs walking me through the hospital, and you see all the civilians, people living normal lives, and here I am shackled being escorted to go see my father, but I was blessed to be able to see him. And I got to have that 2-hour conversation with him. And 30 days after, my dad died the next day. So that next morning after I had the 2-hour conversation with my dad, through the grace of God, I had that conversation with my dad. And he died the next day. And but I felt it. And 30 days after he died, I got handcuffed by a bunch of COs for an extortion charge inside, while I was in prison. They said I was extorting somebody. And so I was in the box, solitary confinement, and I started screaming and yelling at Jesus. I told him he was a fake. I says, I will never believe in this fairy tale ever again unless you show me a sign. You got to, I challenged God. I screamed on his name. I yelled at him like I was mad at an individual, like a best friend, like somebody that completely just let me down. And I had tears coming out of my eyes. I was on my knees. I was crying. I was screaming out to Jesus, And I told him, I said, you got to show me something. And if you do, right, because this was the negotiation stage of my life.
Right.
If you do, I'll turn my life over to you, right? That night, I got a letter from a lady, Mrs. Conklin, who was an elderly lady. She was, probably touching 80s, 70-something years old, maybe 80s, because she's 90 now. I just stopped by and seen her last week. I stopped by. I was in the neighborhood, and she's still alive, and she still looks the same, and she's a beautiful lady. But this was my next-door neighbor when I was a child. I haven't seen this lady from the time I received the letter. I haven't seen her since I was 15, 16 years old. I was 32 years old. 17 years later.
Yeah.
That night that I get into a fight with God, I get a letter from her. I open it up. She belongs to a church off of Genesee Street. And she was telling me how much God needs me, how much he loves me, how Jesus is going to change me. Everything I got, the whole fight that I had with God, she answered every single question in that letter. So the next day, I go to the sergeant because I had the hearing to see how much time I was going to get for this extortion charge.
Yeah.
And I said, Sarge, you already know, because it was for my store. Some guy owed me money. It was up to like $400 and he was trying to sign out because he didn't want to pay the bill, right? So I told the sergeant, you already know how the system works. We're running the stores, this and that. I said, but I wasn't extorting this guy, right? I said, but before you charge me and give me my sentence, I says, I need to read you this letter that I received from Jesus last night. And I read in the letter, and it was just like something in the Bible. It was case dismissed. He said, I'm going to give you one more shot, right? Like, I'm going to give you one more shot. Because if I got charged with that, I would have lost any possibility of good time.
Right.
They would have taken my good time away from me.
Yeah.
Because it was a tier 3 extortion. And so I get let out of the box. And 2 weeks after I'm out of the box, Governor Cuomo came up with a new thing for violent felons. Because I was a violent felon because my charge was assault. My car was considered the weapon.
Yeah.
And so I had an opportunity, if I took this 2-year program, to go in front of a board to receive a 6 months off my sentence. And it was an IPA program, which is Inmate Program Associate. And I take the 2-week course. Now I got to find a job and hold the job for 2 years. There was no jobs.
Wow.
My counselor that I was working with, every day I would ask her for a job. You find me a job, you find me a job, nothing. I'm an entrepreneur. Right. So I'm trying to find me a job. I got to start the clock. Right. The clock don't start just because I got a certificate. I got to get a job. Yeah. She comes to me one day, and this was probably about 2-3 weeks after I had the certificate. And she says, you got 2 choices today. Mrs. Lamb, who was the hottest counselor in the prison. She was pretty, right? She wants you to come work for her. Or Father Weber from the church said it's time to come home. Yeah. I didn't even think twice. Now, I went to work for Catholic, Protestant, Baptist, Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish, you name it, Wiccan, any religion that is a belief, anything, even the ones that aren't. I had something to do with it because I was inside the chapel and I was working for all 3 of the main guys. Yeah. I was working with Father Weber. Take this, Mark. It's my daughter. Just go in there and answer, please. I was working with Father Weber, Reverend Ellis, and Iman Montero, right? Okay. And Iman, he's the one who actually told me that my father had died. Yeah. So, yeah. So that was a great opportunity.
So now, years later, current day of 2026, you're a business owner. Yeah. Talk about being a business owner and starting that up.
So I got released in 2012. I came home without a dollar in my pocket. I think I had like $232 on the prison check that you get from prison, the money that I had saved from my commissaries. From weekly, my mom sending me a $50 bill. My dad used to send money or whatnot. I had saved up like maybe $234. So I come home on a Thursday. I got a job with an asphalt company on that Thursday. I started work Monday, right? And when I started working for this paving company, my mother was dating the guy for like 20 years. And he used to antagonize his kids that step baby, me, was coming home, right? And I was excellent at putting down asphalt. Like my father owned an asphalt company for 40 years. I was a kid jumping on the back of the paver at 4, 5, 6 years old. I've been in the asphalt industry my entire life, right? So blacktop is what I specialize in. So I went and I got a job, and they were paying me $18 an hour, fresh out of prison, 2012. That was big money.
Yeah.
For me, I was excited. I would have given that company everything that I had. And me and the owner's son and daughter, they just didn't want to give me a shot, right? So the father wanted to give me a big shot. The father knew my capabilities. He knew the potential. He saw it. The kids were younger than me, and they were like territorial, and they didn't want me to come home from prison thinking like I was just going to take over the show. So like the son was a seal coating guy, and he gave up his seal coating business to start working asphalt, just to block me out, right? Just to protect his. And I wasn't trying to take nothing. I was just trying to come home and go back to work.
Yeah.
So that job lasted 2 months, and then I was forced to quit. It was either quit or beat up the owner's son. And I didn't want to beat up the owner's son because then I'm going back to prison. Right. So I quit, and in 2012 Christmas, I was so poor. I had no job. I was shoveling driveways for $40. You know, I had a flyer on Facebook. You know, I was shoveling any size driveway for $40. That only lasted a couple of weeks, and then my back started to hurt. So I was like, this job, you know, it ain't happening no more.
Yeah.
So my mother gave me a prepaid credit card for $500 for Christmas. And she said, I'll keep the card going until you get yourself a steady job, right? Because, you know, I was hurt, man. You know, I had no money.
Yeah.
So I took that credit card, and she told me to go buy clothes and whatever I needed. I was like, I don't need clothes, but I need my father's phone number back, right? Because my father was in business for 40 years. And I called the yellowpages.com because I was surfing the internet on Google, and I was finding out what my competition was advertising on. So I called them up, and I bought their best package for like $320. I bought the first 2 spots. So if you went to like yellowpages.com back then and you typed in Tandoi asphalt and seal coating, I came up in the first 2 big spots.
Wow.
And the lady says to me, she goes, you got a phone number? I says, I will in 10 minutes. I'll call you right back. So that's when I got on the phone. I found my father's phone number, and I called Earthlink, and I had to purchase my father's phone number back.
Wow.
Right? And through the grace of God, nobody took the phone number. You know, like when you get rid of your cell phone number, a couple days later, somebody else got that number.
Yeah.
Nobody got my father's phone number. So I was able to get my dad's phone number back. And, but this is January. I'm doing this in January.
Yeah.
Nobody's buying asphalt in January.
Right.
In Rochester, New York. So in February of 2013, I was so broke that I told my mom, I humbled myself, and I said, Ma, I said, take me to welfare. I says, they will give me food, they'll give me clothes, they'll pay some rent, and they'll give me insurance. Take me to welfare. And it was a February day, Rochester, New York. It was snowing, raining, and windy. It was a mixture of all kinds of bad weather. And as I get to the parking lot and I'm walking up the stairs to go into the building, there's a guy that's about 10 feet in front of me, and he walks in. And as I'm reaching for the door slams from a gust of wind in my face. And that's when I looked up in the sky and I heard my father's voice. He says, don't go in there. He goes, I promise you I'm going to start signing contracts for you. The phone's going to start ringing. I ran back to my mom's car like a baby. And I says, Mom, I can't go in. I can't take the money. She's an Italian, Sicilian lady. You not go get the money. And I said, Ma, I can't go get the money. And I was crying like a 5-year-old kid in my mom's arms. And here I am, 33, 34 years old. And I'm crying on my mother's shoulder. And I'm like, Ma, I can't. You know, because I didn't want to be a product of the state no more. I just got done doing 7 years, you know. And, you know, I was working for nothing, you know. And I knew that my value was more, you know. And I didn't want to be crippled by state funds, you know. But I do know that in certain situations, people need it. And it's a good way to help families that need it. You know, but I also know that people that don't need it, that take advantage of the system. So it's like,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to be a product of the state no more. Like, I didn't want them to have me. So I didn't take the money. And about 3 weeks later, my phone rang from a LaWanda Brown on Blue Mountain Drive. And I went to Staples. I bought fake contracts. And I filled out my name, Tandoi Asphalt and Seal Coating, Michael Tandoi. And I went and I met this lady. And I signed a $3,000 deal with her. And I promised that I was going to dig out her driveway, reshape and grade it. I was going to pave it. And I was even going to give her a 3-year warranty. I didn't own a shovel. I didn't own a tool. I didn't own a bobcat, a paver, a truck. I owned nothing.
Yeah.
But I just signed a contract for $3,000 and I took a 10% deposit. So I got a check for $300 from LaWanda Brown on Blue Mountain Drive. And I went to the bank and I went to deposit it. And the bank teller tells me I can't deposit the check because I don't have a DBA.
Wow.
Because it was made out to Tandoi Asphalt and Seal Coating. So I said, well, how do I get a DBA? She said, you got to go to the county office. So I went to the county office. I paid the $30. I got a DBA. I went back to the bank and I deposited my first $300.
Wow.
My first year in business, I did $978,000 on the book.
Wow.
Right. My first 2 months in business, after that first $3,000 job, I sold $300,000 worth of work. And I took in 10% deposit. And I bought every single piece of equipment that I needed. And then I had a paver given to me on like, take the paver and you owe me $10,000 for the paver and you're going to pay me $500 a week until the paver's paid off. Right. So I started my company with $300 deposit.
Wow, that's amazing.
$300.
So I want to go into present day now.
Yep.
'Cause now you're a successful businessman who does asphalt and etc. I want to go into present day. We had some disturbance at the beach
Yes.
about last week, and we've seen a lot of chaoticness. People in the community seeing you appear, and now we've looked at your status. You've gained over 2,000 people, and you've gained over 30,000 views in just this short time span. And people, want to know a little bit more about you. And so people want to know, what is your plan with the beach? What is your purpose of coming out of because most people who don't know you have said, he's appeared out of nowhere. Who is this guy? We want to know what's his purpose about the beach and what's going on. So talk about your plan and the purpose of the beach activity that's going on.
So about a year ago, I did a life transformation again, right? And I cleaned up all my bullshit, right? And today, I feel so blessed to be alive and to be able to know who I am, right? I've got such a positive energy that's flowing within me, right? Like, there's sometimes that I've got this energy that's inside of me. I almost feel like I can float, right? Like, I feel like I'm floating, that's how good I'm feeling. And I feel that if I've been blessed enough to have this feeling within me, then it would be selfish of me to keep it for myself.
Yeah.
Right? So when I saw all the stuff happening at Charlotte Beach, it broke my heart. Right? And I said to myself, what can I do to help Charlotte Beach? What can I do to help the community? And I've always been the cook, right? When I was incarcerated, I did all the cooking, right, for the guys. Thanksgiving, I used to cook for the whole dorm, right? And so I said, you know what? Let's do a peace treaty, and let's bring some light to Charlotte Beach, and let's start because I know a lot of people. Okay, so you said that we gained 2,000 followers or 30,000 views or whatever. I've always known a lot of people in Rochester, New York, right? So, and that's always helped me, and it hasn't helped me, right? Yeah. So you get the good, and then you get the bad. So I've always known a lot of people. So when I started hearing a lot of talk in town about families never ever going back to Charlotte Beach, right? That hurt me, right? And Charlotte Beach is beautiful, but when we went to Charlotte Beach, we didn't expect that it was going to turn into a movement, right? We had no idea. It's not like I've never done a movement before. I've never gone to a rally before. I've never done any of this stuff before. This is all brand new stuff to me. And I've learned so much within the last 10 days, we'll call it, about our community and about how great it is, but then how bad it is, right? Like, there is so much sickness that people can't even see, right? Like invisible sickness that is unseen, like the unseen world, right? And I'm so blessed that the community last night came together, and people came
Hundreds
up.
of people.
Thousands of people. I talked to a Monroe County sheriff today, and he said there must have been at least 700-800 plus cars they lost count. Right? When I said, "What do you think? We have 500-600 cars?" He goes, "Tandoi, there must have been 700-800-900 cars." The cars didn't stop going through last night. And you know what the greatest thing about last night was? It was everybody was there. It didn't matter what size, shape, color, form. Everybody was colorblind yesterday. There was no racism yesterday. There was no hatred yesterday. There was no negativity yesterday. Everybody that went and attended yesterday's car show went there with a positive feeling.
Yeah.
There was so much goodness in everybody that attended that yesterday. Rochester was rooting for Rochester yesterday. Yeah. That was Rochester, New York, standing up for Rochester, New York. That wasn't me. I was just a voice, right? I put it on.
So you got permission from the city too?
Well, listen.
Because some people are saying, well, he didn't have a permit.
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't have a permit. I had no permits, right? And the way that I explained it to the city and the county is we're in the middle of a war zone right now, right? And we're trying to bring peace to our community. We're trying to hand out handshakes and free hot dogs. I had some lady on my, when we gave away the free hot dogs, she tried shutting me down because I didn't have a health permit. Yeah. So I had to have one of my guys go and file and get a health permit just in case. We didn't need it, right. But just in case, because I didn't want to have you or somebody else show up and not be able to get served because we promised you food and now we can't give you food. Yeah. So that night, the first night, we covered our angle. I didn't have permits. I didn't even know that I needed a permit, right? But I didn't do it in the dark. I called the city hall. I asked to speak to the mayor.
Yeah, because I was going to ask about the between you and the mayor's relationship. Have you guys spoken?
So I've called the mayor's office every single day since I've started this rally, and I've yet to get a phone call back from him. Right?
Some people may say person who runs these parks and beaches, etc.
They have showed up every day. So the mayor's a busy guy. I just want to meet him. I'm busy too, right? I am busy too. I bet you I've taken 7,000 or 8,000 messages. Mm-hmm. And I personally have responded to every single message that I've ever gotten on Instagram or Facebook from this rally that we've done. I've personally, this morning I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and I've responded to every single message.
So in the community, a lot of black people in the community, they have some concerns. They have some questions. They've seen this comment that you loved, and I know you addressed it on that. We have the screenshots here. And people are like, well, maybe this, from different perspectives.
Right.
So we wanted to just talk about that on there because people are really concerned. People are upset about the chimpanzee comment.
So I never saw the chimpanzee comment. Okay. I never read a chimpanzee comment. Mm-hmm. If I saw the chimpanzee comment on my Facebook, I would have deleted it. I had somebody reach out to me the day of that about something else. He goes, I really want to follow you. I want to trust in what you're doing, but I don't like some of the comments that some of the people on your page are writing. Yeah. That second that I got done communicating with this guy, that's when I did that. If anybody's on my page and you got racist stuff to say, clean it up because I will delete you and block you. Like, I will not tolerate it. Okay? So if I loved the chimpanzee thing, that was me going through 5,000 loves or 5,000, things. It's just heart, 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 heart. But I'm telling you, I spent hours going back through the feed. I can't even find the comment.
Yeah.
Can you find the comment? Like, we see that.
Yeah.
I have a verified account. That like or love does not have a verified check mark.
Yeah, so
okay?
with how...
And then my friend Luke from Florida, he said, well, look, and I'm going to show you something. He sent me the same exact screenshot that you just showed me, but now it's got an angry face on it. It was AI generated. And then he said, if you really zoom into that picture, you can see that that's not your picture. So look if I did love it, I didn't love it on purpose.
Okay.
If it was AI generated, which I truly believe it was, then...
Well, before we got... I had to run this through a software, and it doesn't say AI generated.
Okay.
So possibly you could have...
I could have definitely have loved it. I mean, if you go through my page right now, today's post has 500 comments.
Yeah.
And if where's my phone real quick? Let me see my phone.
And I don't want to, slam you here, but I got to ask questions that the community has wanted me to ask. So some people are saying, well, we haven't seen much people, minorities or black people, and now they're appearing on your page, but they weren't on your page just a few years ago.
Okay.
So I want you to talk about that to the community, because there's a lot of people who are upset. This morning we seen about 5 videos about you, and some people are saying that they're upset because they're saying, well, he's race baiting or he's using black people. I want you to explain to the community about your side and how you feel about that.
I grew up in the city of Rochester. My father owned a business in the city of Rochester. I went to school at off of Stenson Street at Most Precious Blood, and I took tutoring classes at Edison Tech. Okay, I did 7 years in state prison. I've been to probably 75 different countries. I've never been to Italy. I've been to Jamaica 5 times. I've never been to Italy. I've been to San Juan, Puerto Rico 10 times. I have more culture in me than 100%, well, we'll say 90% of the people that are saying that I'm racist. They have no idea. Okay, I have more culture in me than just about anybody that I know. Okay, I can dance, I can eat, I can conversate. Anybody who knows me, whether they're white or black, they know I'm not a racist. Okay, so if the community still thinks that I'm racist, all they have to do is come hang out with me for 2 seconds, and they'll tell you he ain't a racist.
What would you want to say to the people who are maybe looking at this? Well, hey, the photos or the comments. Listen, what would you like the community to really know?
I can post something. I cannot prevent anybody from having their own comment. I can't, especially now. It's like there's too many comments. I can't even keep up with them right now. Right? It's like I need a full-time assistant to help out with my social media. I've never been racist. Yeah. Some of the guys that used to change my diapers and families are all African American, right? Like Momo, Wally, James Curry, right? Like Clarence, like these are guys that are family to me. Yeah. You know, Charlie Chandler, like these are guys, you know, so I have a worker who just got in trouble last year with the law. Okay, Sam Anderson, right? And Sam got his 3rd gun charge. And between Sam's father and myself, we were able to bail Sam out of jail. Yeah. And I was able to go talk to the judge on behalf of Sam with my attorney, okay? And Sam ended up getting 5 years in prison. Sam's wife calls me weekly, and every week I make sure Sam is taken care of and Sam's family. Okay. Yeah. I've been around white people, black people, Spanish people. I'm probably the only Italian guy you know that can walk into Polo's Lounge at any time at night. And I was at the wedding for Polo's kids. Okay. Wow. Have you ever heard of Polo's Lounge?
No.
It's a Spanish club in Rochester, New York. Right. Salsa merengue. Right. There isn't a spot in town. Me and you go jump in my truck right now. I'll get out of the truck. I'll go shake hands anywhere in the city of Rochester, man. Right? The people that are talking bad about me, A, they don't know me, or B, they got some things that they got to deal with them for themselves. Yeah. Right? Because how do you call a man a racist for wanting to help out our community? Right? How does race even come into the equation when we're preaching about unity?
Yeah. So I'm gonna conclude this. So we also want to ask before we end this interview, the mayor thing.
Yep.
People are saying, "Are you running for mayor?"
No. So okay.
2029. That's a long way to go.
Right now, as it stands right now, I am not running for mayor.
Okay.
Okay. As of right now, I'm not gonna make any more comments on it or whatnot. But as of today, I am not running for mayor. Okay. So they can relax right now. Could that change tomorrow? Possibly. Absolutely. But
Wow.
Not today.
Not today.
You know,
Well,
today.
3.5 years is ways from here.
You know, I mean, we've got time to make the. I definitely don't have to worry about the votes,
Yeah.
right? Because I know if I do run for mayor, I can definitely qualify.
Yeah. Well, any last words before we end our interview here?
I enjoyed sitting with you, and for the community, for anybody who's got doubt with me, come and meet me. I'm willing to meet you. We could set up a lunch. We could set up coffee. I love coffee. I love being in the community, and I'm going to be in the community.
Where can people contact you?
So, Michael Tandoi on Facebook. You can contact me on Team Out of Control. On Instagram, we've got a Michael Tandoi, Built from Chaos. We got a Built from Chaos website, Tandoi Asphalt and Seal Coating. 585-353-9377. Give me a call. But I assure you, everything that we're doing for the community is for the community. And last night's park at Charlotte Beach with the cars,
Yeah.
that showed the real people of Rochester, New York showed up yesterday for unity, for peace, for love. Nobody was judging anybody. We had elderly people there. We had babies and getting pushed with strollers. We had families there. We had everybody there, and everybody was shaking everybody's hands, man. There wasn't, everybody was walking around checking out everybody's cars and motorcycles and RC. They had everything there, man. And that was the goal.
Yeah.
What we pulled off last night was a good goal for the city of Rochester, man.
Wow.
I love this. I love Rochester. Born and raised in the city of Rochester. I'm born here, man. This is my city, man. Yeah. This is what I love. If you guys don't know me and you want to find out who I am, call me up. I'd love to meet you. I'm an open book, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you anything you ask me, right? So that's that, man.
Well, thank you for coming on. And, the many people who is going to watch this, they're probably going to appreciate this interview. Thank you. I'm Geoffery Rogers, and I'm here with Michael Tandoi. You're watching GSO News in Rochester, New York. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah, we appreciate you.